Hi guys, it's Mrs. Glenn. Welcome to the 4.11 Systems of Linear Inequality Word Problems. Let's get started. Alright, and number 1, it says, suppose you buy flour and cornmeal in bulk to make flour tortillas and corn tortillas. Flour costs $1.50 per pound and cornmeal costs $2.50 per pound. Alright, so what you're going to do first is, because they mentioned flour first, that's your X value, so that cost $1.50 per pound. They mentioned cornmeal second, so that's your Y value, and they said that costs $2.50 per pound. Then the rest of the question says you want to spend at least $25 on cornmeal, but you need at least 6 pounds altogether. So if you have to spend less than $25, that should be less than $25. And if you need to spend at least 6 pounds altogether, at least means greater than or equal to. So that's greater than or equal to 6 pounds. And then we have our less than $25. So now we can put this all together. So remember, when you're doing your two equations, in this scenario, you have items. So we want to keep our items together. So X plus Y is less than or equal to, let me put my little equal to underneath, less than or equal to $6, because you have a certain amount of items of flour, a certain amount of pounds of cornmeal are going to all equal 6 pounds in total. So pounds, pounds, and pounds go together. So that means the money needs to go in the other equation. So $1.50 X plus $2.50 Y is going to be less than your $25. And then we have your first equation. So in order to graph this one, we can do the plugging 0 into the opposite letter to get your intercepts. So if we plug 0 into X, that would give us the Y-intercept, which equals 6. Same thing, if we plug 0 into Y, it would get an X-intercept of 6. So if we plot our two X and Y intercepts on 6 for each axes, then you draw your line. And this is actually going to be a solid line, not a dashed line, because it has the equal to underneath. And then you have the shading is going to go below because you have less than that amount. And you can shade all the way underneath that line. All right, don't forget your equal to in this part of the problem when you're working out your solution. All right, so for the second line, you have 1.5x plus 2.5y less than 25. I'm sorry it's so small, but I'm running out of space, so I had to make it a little smaller there. So you're going to subtract 1.5x on both sides. Then you have 2.5y is less than or equal to, or just less than negative 1.5x plus 2.5. And then we're going to divide by 2.5 on everything, which leaves us with y is less than negative 0.6x plus 10. Now 0.6x is the same thing as having 6 divided by 10. So if you simplify 6 divided by 10 by just dividing by 2 on the top and the bottom, that would equal 3/5. So we can change that decimal to a fraction so that we can use rise over run. So we have y is less than 3/5 x plus 10. All right, so on the y-axis, I'm going to go to 10. And then I'm going to go up 3 over 5 to get to the second point. And this is a dashed line when you go through it. So you're going to make it dashed. And it also says less than, so numbers that are less than 10 are under that line. So I'm going to shade under that line. And you can see where the purple and green overlap each other, and that is the solution area. So we're going to erase anything that is not purple and green. And you can see in this area right here, I'm also going to erase anything right here because we're talking about positive items. When you're counting something, you can't count a negative item. Like you can't say this is negative apples or negative corn tortillas in this scenario. So we're just going to keep it inside the y and x axis. So that purple and green area are the solution area of these two lines. And then it says write 2 possible solutions. So in this area, if we had a solution right there, that would be 2, 2, which means you could buy 2 pounds of each corn and flour tortillas. Then the second point is 4, 1, which means we can buy 4 pounds of flour tortillas. Let me write that in there. So 4 pounds of flour tortillas and 1 pound of corn. And that's the end for number 1. All right, for number 2, a seafood restaurant owner orders perch and salmon. Perch is $4 a pound and salmon is $3 a pound. All right, so the first thing they mentioned was perch, so that's going to be your X value, which is $4 a pound. And salmon is your Y, that's the second kind of fish they mentioned, and that's $3 a pound. He wants to buy at least 50 pounds, so that means at least stands for greater than or equal to, because if he can buy 60 pounds, that's at least 50 pounds. And if he buys exactly 50, that's at least 50 pounds. So that's the way you can think of it if you can't remember that at least is greater than or equal to. And then also mentions that you cannot spend more than $240. So that means you have to be less than or equal to $240. All right, so our two equations, remember we have X amount of pounds of perch plus Y amount of pounds of salmon, all has to be greater than or equal to 50 pounds. And then $4 X times 3Y has to be less than or equal to $240. So if we do the zero method again, you'll get your y-intercept of 50 and your x-intercept of 50. And you can plot those both on your y and x axes. Make your line, and this is a solid line because it has equal to underneath. And it's greater than, so you're shading above. And then your second equation, subtract 4x on both sides, then divide by 3 on everything. You get y is less than or equal to negative 4/3 x plus 80. So on your y-axis, go to 80, and then go down 4 over 3. This is also a solid line. And this is less than, which means numbers that are less than 80 are under that line. So we're shading to the left. And you can see where the purple and green overlap. So we're going to get rid of everything that's not. And then it says 2 possible solutions. So the first one I picked was 1, 5. Second one I picked was on the line because a solid line includes the solution as long as it's a border of the double shaded area. And that's 3, 2. Okay, for number 3, the What We Sell CDs website plans to purchase ads in a local newspaper to advertise their site. Their operating budget will allow them to spend at most $3,000 on their advertising adventure. So at most means less than or equal to $3,000. They can't spend any more than $3,000 because $3,000 is the most. An ad will cost $30 to appear in the weekday and $50 to appear in the weekend edition. They plan to run at least 20 ads. So X is the first one they mentioned was a weekday, Y is the weekend, and at least means less or greater than or equal to because they have to have at least 20. So greater than or equal to 20. All right, so we remember we have a certain amount of weekday, a certain amount of weekend are going to all have to be greater than or equal to 20. And then the money goes with money, so that's 30x plus 50y is less than or equal to 3,000. And I'm getting all of these numbers from my little key that I've made right here. Then we're going to do the first equation by putting in 0 for x and getting the y-intercept of 20. That makes the x-intercept also 20. Plot your 2 points. And then this would be a solid line because it has equal to underneath it. And you are shading above that line because it's greater than. So numbers that are greater than 20 are on this side of the line. And then our second equation is 30x plus 50y is less than or equal to 3,000. So we're going to subtract 30x on both sides, leaving you with 50y is less than or equal to negative 30x plus 3,000. Divide by 50. and you get y is less than or equal to negative 3/5 x plus 60, because negative 30 over 50 simplifies to just negative 3 over 5. Plot your y-intercept at 60, then go down 3 over 5. This is also a solid line. And you have less than, so you're shading underneath that line. And then you can see where the purple and the green overlap each other, so you're going to get rid of anything that's not overlapping. And that's the solution area. Then part B says write 2 possible solutions. So 2 possible solutions would be 8, 1, which means 8 weekday ads and 1 weekend. And that you see as on the line because that's a solid line. And the second one could be 3, 2, which is 3 weekday ads and 2 weekend ads. Okay, and number 4, Mary knits scarves and sweaters to sell. So they mentioned scarves first. So that's going to be your X value and sweaters will be Y. And they said scarves take 2 hours to knit and sweaters take 10 hours. So 2 hours for scarves, 10 hours for sweaters. And Mary wants to spend no more than, so she can't spend any more than 40, but she can spend less than 40. So no more than would be less than or equal to 40. And at least 5 items per week would be greater than or equal to 5. All right, so now we take this information and make our 2 equations. So we have x plus y is greater than or equal to 5, because she can make x amount of scarves and y amount of sweaters, but it has to be greater than or equal to 5 because it says at least. And then 2 hours are going to go with scarves, and 10 hours are going to go with sweaters, so 2x plus 10y, and it's less than or equal to 40. And I got all of that because we already made our key in the middle. So you're going to do your covering up one letter and solving for the other to get your intercepts, which gives you your x and y intercepts both equaling to 5. So then we plot both of those, and that's a solid line because it's greater than or equal to with that equal to underneath. And we're shading above because greater than 5 is numbers that are on this side of the line. Then we have 2x plus 10y is less than or equal to 40. So if we subtract 2x on both sides, then divide by 10, we get negative 1/5 x plus 4, because negative 2 over 10, if you divide by 2 on the bottom and on the top, you get 1/5. So negative 1 over 5, because that was a negative 2. So you start at 4, then you go down 1 over 5, make your line. It's also a solid line. And this is less than, so you're going to shade under that green line. You can see where the green and purple overlap, so I'm going to get rid of everything that is not green or purple so you can see where the double shaded area is. And then the next question says, what are 2 possible solutions? So we could do one on the line and then one at the intersection, because remember, if they are both solid lines, the point of intersection is also a solution. So 5 scarves and 1 sweater would be 5, 1, and 1 scarf and 4 sweaters would be 1, 4. All right, number 5, a clothing store has a going out of business sale. They're selling pants for $8.99 and shirts for $3.99. So pants they mentioned first, so that's going to be your X at $8.99. And shirts are going to be your Y, and that's $3.99. You can spend as much as $60, so as much means less than or equal to, just like if your dad or mom were to tell you you can spend as much as $50, that means you can't spend $51, you have to spend 50 or less. So this would be 60 or less. And you want to buy at least 2 pairs of pants, so at least would be greater than or equal to, so that's at least greater than or equal to 2 pairs of pants. So we take that information and make our 2 inequalities. So you have x plus y for the amount of money, so that's $8.99x and $3.99y, and that's all going to equal less than or equal to the $60. Then you have at least 2 pairs of pants. So this is where it gets a little confusing because we haven't done one like this before. So if you think about it, at least 2 pairs of pants, that means every y value you have to have at least 2 pairs of x for the pants. So that means you can't have any 1, 0 for your pants. So that means you have to start at x and make it greater than or equal to 2. So it's just a straight up and down line through the x at 2. All right, so we're going to do our first equation by subtracting 899x on both sides, divide by 399 on both sides, and I actually decided that it would be a little bit easier to do the putting in 0 into the opposite one, because you end up getting a lot of decimals if you do it the way we did it for numbers 1 through 4. So if we cover over 899 with a finger, that means we'd have to divide by 399 on both sides. So you're going to get 15.04 for your y-intercept, but then that's approximately 15. When you divide by, hold on, let me show you. When you divide by 399, 60 divided by 3.99 is 15.04, which is approximately 15. Then you're going to do the same thing to find the x-intercept. So we cover over the y. That means we would have to divide by 8.99 on both sides, which would leave you with the x-intercept of 6.67, which again, like I said before, graphing is not the most accurate way to find any solution. Graphing is the least accurate way. However, with inequalities, that's what you have to do is with graphing, you have to shade to see where it's double shaded. So we're going to have to approximate with our x-intercept and our y-intercept. All right, so the x-intercept is approximately at that one purple dot, and your y-intercept is at the top of the y-axis because that's where 15 is. Then you're going to connect those two, and it's a solid line because it's equal to, and it's less than, which means numbers that are less than 15 are underneath that dot of 15. So we're shading right there. I'm just going to shade inside the y and x axes just to make it a little bit neater, just so that you know why I didn't shade past that. Then for your second equation, you have x is greater than or equal to 2. So if we plot a point at 2 on the x-axis, then if it has to be it's just x is greater than or equal to 2, that's a solid up and down line. And it's greater than, so we're shading to the right, because numbers that are greater than 2 would go to the right. And you can see where the purple and the green overlap each other, so we're going to get rid of anything that's not overlapping just so that you can see where the solution area is. And again, we have to name 2 possible solutions. So I'm going to pick one on the line, which would be 3, 8, so 3 pants and 8 shirts. And you could also do one at the bottom on the x-axis. So that would mean 5 pants and no shirts. And anything in between, as long as you're somewhere in that double shaded area, it does not matter. All right, and the last one. You'd like to see how many baseball and soccer games you can attend this spring. So they mentioned baseball first, so that's your x, and soccer is second, so that's your y. Travel time for baseball games is 2 hours and soccer is 1 hour. So baseball 2 hours, soccer 1 hour. You would like to spend no more than 15 hours traveling to games. So no more than means less than or equal to, because you don't want it to be more than that, so it would be less than or equal to. And in total, you'd like to attend at least 8 games. So at least would be greater than or equal to 8, because you don't want to do anything less than 8. So no more than would be less than or equal to 15, and at least 8 games would be greater than or equal to 8. All right, so take this information and make your 2 inequalities. So we have x plus y is greater than or equal to 8, and 2x plus 1y is less than or equal to 15. So x plus y is standing for how many baseball games plus how many soccer games, has to be at least 8 games. So games go with games. And then 2x plus 1y, so that's the number of hours. So hours go with the 15 hours. So that's how you know which one goes with which. So for our first equation, we can do our intercepts. So you just know that immediately, because if we cover over x or cover over y, they're both going to be 8. So we plot them both on 8, and it's a solid line. It says greater than. So greater than 8 would be above that. And again, I'm just staying inside the y and the x-axis on this coordinate plane to make it a little bit neater instead of shading all over the place. Then our second equation, subtract 2x on both sides to get y by itself. So that's y is less than or equal to negative 2x plus 15. So we're starting at 15. You can see the green dot at the top of the y-axis. Then I'm going to go down 2 over 1. I'm just going to do a couple of those to make sure that I have a straight line because we are having to go across the entire coordinate plane. You can see I made another green dot at the bottom. I just kept going down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, so that I could make sure that the green line was the most accurate that I could make it. You also can see that these two lines are solid, so that means that point of intersection, that green dot on the bottom, is one of the solutions. So we have less than, so we're going to shade under that green line because less than 15 would be under it. And you can see where those two shadings overlap, so I'm going to get rid of anything that's not. So make sure your bottom section down here, if I were to color it orange, is not shaded as well because that's not where it's supposed to be shaded. It's just the double shaded area. So don't have anything shaded in there either. So then it says, suppose we decide on attending 4 baseball games. What is the range of the number of soccer games you can attend? So if we have 4, that means anywhere in that double shaded area, including the border. So that's all those 4 green dots, or 4 yellow dots, I'm sorry. So that means you can go to 4, 5, 6, or 7 soccer games. And remember, with interval notation, rewrite that as 4, 7 with brackets around it, because the brackets mean that you can also make it equal to 4 or equal to 7. So bracket 4, 7 bracket. And then D, suppose we decide on going to 9 soccer games. So that's that red 9 that you see over there. And if you go to 9, that's outside the solution area, which means you can go to no baseball games. Because we wanted to go to at least 8 games, but we can't go past that many because that would make it more than we can attend. Is it possible to attend 6 baseball games and 4 soccer games? Well, if you did that, you would actually end up with 6 times 2, which is 12, plus 4 times 1, which is 4, and 12 plus 4 is 16. And we can't go more than 15 hours of travel, so that would end up being 16 hours. So no, you cannot go 16 hours because that's greater than the amount from the beginning that they said with no more than 15 hours. All right, and that's the last one. Go Seahawks. Woo!